G'day and welcome to the first sports edition of the High Street Podcast. This is Dan and I'm joined by Matt.
On today's show, we'll be discussing all the big topics in the world of sport. The Rugby League World Cup is currently underway and we've got all of the big news ahead of the quarterfinals. We'll also take a look at the Socceroos do-or-die World Cup Qualifiers against Honduras.
Also this week we'll be discussing the international rules game that was played in Adelaide on Sunday. A tight seesawing game that saw the best of the Irish Gaelic competition taking on the AFL's All-Australians. The lead changed multiple times, with Ireland having a lead as high as 10, while Australia had a lead of 1 point at half-time. They pressed their advantage home to eventually win by 10. With a team full of players such as Nat Fyfe from Fremantle and Paddy Dangerfield from Geelong, there was plenty of biff to entertain all. In cricket, we have the brilliance of Elise Perry in the Women's Ashes and also the controversy behind Shane Warne's choices for his Gabba Test 11.
First of all, we go to the Rugby League World Cup. Australia has gone through undefeated in the group stages of the tournament, conceding just 10 points along the way. PNG have thrashed USA 64-0 in front of their home fans in Port Moresby. Australia faces Samoa in the first quarterfinal this Friday night in Darwin. Next we move on to the soccer. Australia's Socceroos have drawn 0-0 with Honduras in the away leg of their final stage of the World Cup Qualifiers. Within 2 hours of the final whistle, they caught a $1 million charter flight back to Australia.
Was a flight costing $1 million really worth the investment, and is it going to help them at all in the next game?
The charter flight back into Australia allows them to get back into the country about 36 hours before their Honduran counterparts, so that will allow them to recover from any jet lag that they may have picked up across the time over in Honduras. Also, the World Cup qualification will net them $64 million, so the risk versus reward is really quite small.
Moving on from that, as already stated, we had the international rules game. Nat Fyfe played a brilliant game, along with Paddy Dangerfield and some others as well. So the final score for that was 63-53 going Australia's way with plenty of biff, especially in the first half.
So we had Nat Fyfe getting a perfect 10 in Fox Footy's rankings. We also had Cade Simpson getting 37 touches on the field. But I think he should have probably got man of the match just for that beautiful moustache he's got going at the moment.
So moving on from the international rules, we head over to the cricket. In the Women's Ashes, Elise Perry has set a new record for the highest score by an Australian, recording over the double ton. From here, she also maintains a 62 test batting average, which is just phenomenal.
So at 29 years old, she also has a 50 average in the one-day internationals and over 230 wickets at less than a 22 average.
So from there, we move further on. We talk about the Men's Ashes now. Shane Warne has recently come out and listed his 11 for the Gabba Test. I'll read it through for you now. He's picked opening batsman Warne, Matthew Renshaw, number 3 being Usman Khawaja, followed by Smith as captain, Hanscom at 5, contentious selections at 6 and 7 being Maxwell as the all-rounder, Wade as the wicketkeeper batsman, and then the bowling combo of Mitchell Starc, Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon.
Do you really think that Matthew Wade should be the keeper for the series?
Bit of a tight call there. There's plenty of others in Australia that could fill the position. Recently it came out that Australia had the worst wicketkeepers in the world on the international scene. So other options in wicketkeeping could include people such as Peter Neville, who was the incumbent prior to Matthew Wade, or Tim Payne, who's recently been selected as a T20, a specialist wicketkeeper for Australia. The big reason that Matthew Wade was brought in for Peter Neville was his batting prowess, and yet he only actually averages about 20 in test matches, so I'm not sure where that all fits into the logic. Also, that it should be stated that Peter Neville's had a really good return to first-class form.
Alright, so we've got Tim Payne as another option. He was first introduced to the Australian setup in 2010. But there's a question mark over his role in the Tasmanian squad this summer in the Sheffield Shield due to Wade now playing for them as well.
Furthering on from there, even Peter Hanscom, who's already been selected in the side as a batsman, he's been thrown around as a possible option as a wicketkeeper. He actually describes himself as being part-time, being a batsman first and a wicketkeeper second. He has kept for Australia at the one-day international level though.
Alright, and Matthew Wade, he's kept for Australia for a number of years now, in and out of the team. So He's had some consistency issues, but can he pick back up over the summer? We'll have to wait and see. Should we pick Glenn Maxwell into the team? There's been some talk around Jake Lehman. What do you reckon of that?
I think he's kind of there, I think, more for his presence around. His performances certainly wouldn't warrant his selection over someone such as Jake Lehman, who scored over 200 runs and is second only to Kawaja for the Sheffield Shield. I think he's going to get picked more for his presence and probably having that extra bowling option. In recent tests at the Gabba, we've had excessive heat and had bowlers breaking down. We've seen the likes of Peter Siddle becoming the workhorse of the side. They don't have him, so maybe having an extra bowler is a good option for Smith.
Yep, so possibly bring Lehman into the squad, do you think?
I think if you're looking for a batting combination, Lehman's definitely better. If you were to pick Maxwell, you're looking for the extra bowler. You're not picking him for his batting consistency. He did have an excellent tour of India with one really fine score, but other than that, you're looking at Lehman for a batsman.
And what do you think of the wicket-keeping spot? Who do you think that should be going to?
Bit of a tough call. I'm a bit of a fan of Tim Payne, to be honest, but I think Neville's performed quite well at Sheffield Shield. I think if Wade can find some form in the last Sheffield Shield match before the Gabba, could really be anyone's position, but my pick's going to Neville at this point.
Alright, we'll find out on November 23 when Australia selects their squad. Thank you for listening to the High Street Podcast today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.